Okay, I mentioned last week that with all of the goals we set for ourselves, all of the things that we're trying to achieve, there is a spiritual element behind all of them. And it's the same. And that element is the experience of peace and freedom. If you just look at any goal that you have for yourself, any dream that you have for yourself, and you trace it back, or you kind of play with it a little bit, and just ask yourself what it is that you hope to achieve by obtaining this goal. And you will start with the material aspects of it. Maybe you would like more money because you're feeling a little bit restricted right now. You have some issue you need to resolve that only money can do. Or you need some time away. You'd like to go someplace and have some peace. It doesn't really matter what it is. What you are trying to do is achieve a state of being. And we, I should say, are trying to achieve that by first obtaining something, by accomplishing something, so that we may then give ourselves permission to experience the peace of mind, the freedom that we are after. And so the question is, from a spiritual perspective, is it possible to attain the goal, the actual goal of peace and freedom prior to the demonstration of the thing? And the answer is yes. And the way to prove it to yourself is just take some simple issue in your life that you're concerned about. This morning, for example, I got to church. I was a couple of blocks down the road, and I remembered that I forgot my memory chip. I remembered I forgot my memory stick. How can you forget your memory stick? You know, it's like, well, I bring that to church as a backup for PowerPoint, just in case things don't work out. And of course, in the computer age, you know, once in a while, things don't work out. In fact, it's always a real relief when they do. But I have come here thinking that I emailed this PowerPoint program to the church, and only to discover it didn't go through. And you've all had that experience. Somebody said, "Didn't you get my email?" Well, you can lie about it, actually. You might have gotten it and say, "No, I didn't get it." And they'll totally absolve you from that sin. But anyway, I got here this morning. Well, first of all, I got a couple of blocks down the road and remembered my memory chip, my memory stick. So I turned around, went home and got that. And then I got to church, setting up all the things, and remembered that I had forgotten the camera. So went back home and got the camera. And there's something about being under the pressure of time, even when there's no pressure of time. So I'm on the way home to get the camera. And it's like, there's not really any hurry. It's, a round trip, 12, 15 minutes, something like that. But there's something about that. I've got to hurry. I've got to hurry up and get this thing resolved. And knowing what I was going to talk about this morning, I remembered that I am the minister, and I probably should kind of practice a little bit of what I preach. So I just said, just let go of it. It's okay. How many times, think of that time 10 years ago when this exact scenario was unfolding. And I can't remember what that time was, but I know I had many of them. And I made it to this point. Life was resolved. The universe didn't stop spinning. So I took that moment to just say, this is not reality. This is not the reality I want to experience. This is not the thing I want to experience. And so we have a choice. The goal of the goal in that case was not to hurry up and get home and get the camera and then get back here and hook it up. The goal always is peace of mind. So the question is, does peace disappear while we're on the way home to get the camera? Is it all gone? and I can't possibly experience it until I resolve the issue, till I achieve the goal. That's what we all have told ourselves for many years. I have to get to a certain place before I can experience the goal of my goal, the peace or the whatever it is I want to experience. So we make the experience of peace conditional. That is, I will be peaceful when this thing happens, when it's resolved properly. Otherwise, I won't. I'll be frantic. So that's where we live most of the time. And that's not, it's very common. It's all of us live there most of the time. That is the input that we're getting from the senses. We take that information, we say something is missing, I must do something to bring that thing into my life so I can experience it and I can be peaceful and happy and all of that stuff. So what we do is we get on the spiritual path and we say peace is obtainable. And it makes perfect sense. Peace is within. Makes absolutely perfect sense. Where else could it be? And yet we still engage in that same scenario. Only what we do is we say peace is within me, the fullness of what I seek is within me, but I must evolve that in order to experience it all the time. So we put another condition on it. It's possible for a human being to be peaceful, but it's just not possible for me yet because I'm not evolved. I still buy into this stuff. So the question is, what makes us buy into it? Is that an obligation? Is it a school we all have to go to and learn how to stop buying into stuff? And the answer is no, it's not required. It's not at all required. It is simply habitual. It is a habit that we have learned. It's a knee-jerk reaction. But on the spiritual path, we have made that an obligation. We have made something like that, many things like that, a spiritual obligation. I must go through this process of remembering and learning and relearning and all of the things that I have to go through to finally evolve to that high place of enlightenment. But in truth, I was enlightened on the way home today. The moment that I realized I had a choice. So it's not a big deal, but it's the deal. It's the way we live life. That's 99.9% of our life is all these little things that we're always battling, we're always struggling with. We live in two worlds. We live in the world of the senses most of the time, and we live in the world of spirit. We live there all the time, but we're not aware of it. And so we draw this distinction, and we're trying to make the world of the senses conform to the world of spirit. That is, we're trying to bring peace into a world where we're not willing to make a choice for peace. So it can't happen. We can long for it forever. Or we can demonstrate to ourselves in some little incident that you can actually change your experience. You can actually change the quality of your experience. You can actually be more peaceful. It doesn't mean you're going to, the heavens are going to open up and you're going to see God and Jesus and all the things we may expect to see when we're fully enlightened. But we prove to ourselves that the quality of our experience is a choice. And so what we're actually trying to achieve in all of our achievements, the goal of our goal, whatever the goal that may be, is accessible. It's always present. Never leaves us. We leave it, but it doesn't leave us. I really like this story I'm quoting from here out of John, where Jesus and Pilate are standing face to face. Pilate is in a position where he can put Jesus to death if he wants to, or he can set him free. And Pilate is interrogating Jesus over a lot of the things he's been hearing. He hears that Jesus has been claiming himself king, some kind of a king, and that would have been grounds for death. in the Roman Empire because there's only one king, one emperor. So Pilate is questioning Jesus. He says, I hear you think you're a king. And he said, you say that. I don't say that. He said, if I were a king, I would call upon my army and dispatch you. He said, I don't call myself a king. But he said, my kingdom, this place from where I come in awareness, is not of this world. This world that is conditional. This world that has to have things resolved before peace can be experienced and established. So Pilate is confused totally by this. And Jesus said to him, to Pilate, for this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. It actually took me quite a while to hear what he was saying, to hear his voice. Because I was raised, probably like most of us, with the idea that the kingdom of God is otherworldly, it's someplace else. What Jesus was saying is, I have come here to be myself, to be true to that which I am at the spiritual level. I've come here to demonstrate that and that alone. It doesn't do any good to be something or try to be something that I'm not, because that is the total source of misery on this planet. Everybody trying to be either something that they are not or some place that they are not, or have something that they don't. Because the world is thinking, when I get any of those things, I'll be happy, and the world will be in order. We see this on an individual scale. We see it on a global scale. That's what this whole peace movement is about. When we all throw our arms around each other and hug each other and love each other, then the world will be a better place. The fact is, that's not true. Peace has nothing to do with who you're hugging or who you're not hugging. It has nothing to do with getting along with anybody. It has to do with the choice. The choice to experience peace. If you are waiting for the world to conform to your expectation of a perfect world, this would be, like I have said before, thinking you could be the first in rush hour traffic in a busy city. You're never going to get to be first in line. You're never going to get there. Try as you may, struggle as you may, you're never going to get there. If you are waiting for this world to change before you can experience peace, it's never going to happen. You're going to die unhappy. You're going to leave this world unfulfilled. But if you take the attitude of Jesus, and I don't think Jesus was speaking for himself, I think he was speaking for humanity. The reason that I'm here is to bear witness to the truth. And in terms of peace, the truth is peace. That's the only reality. When I let go of all of my expectations, all of my wants, all of my desires, and this is what the Buddhist teaches, the cause of all suffering is ambition. It's struggle to get somewhere you're not. It's striving towards something, some place that you're not. And as we begin to let that go, that doesn't mean that we stop pursuing our goals. But what it means is, what if we actually attained the thing we're looking for first? What if we actually bore witness to the truth? What if we recognize that our purpose is not to get someplace, to achieve something, but to be to be something, to be free. There for quite a while I was thinking if this church would just get better. You know, we lost a number of people. I think we're aware of that. And it's easy to stop on a moment like that and say, gosh, I wish things were like they were in the past. So what happened is are there people on this planet that are able to take away our feeling of peace, our feeling of greatness, our feeling of success? If so, we are making those feelings conditional. And so I have resolved this, I am resolving this by just saying, so what difference does it make what condition we're in here? You get up every day and you live your life. Because if I make this conditional, I'll be totally depressed, and I probably was for a while. But why should we let a condition determine how we're going to feel? Because the world says we should. That's the way it works. But Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. But he wasn't talking about a place in the sky. He was talking about a reality that is here. A reality that is always present, but we are not conscious of it. Pilate he might as well have been talking to a Martian. They were living in two different worlds altogether. Jesus' reality was completely different from Pilate's. Pilate was a politician. Their reality is different than everybody's. In fact, well, never mind. Sometimes I wish I could transport myself to another planet where there's no such thing as politics, but I doubt that planet exists. When we find a life on another planet, the first ones we'll meet will be the politicians, so get ready. Anyway, if your happiness depends on the outcome of politics, you've really got a long wait. So they might as well have been on two different planets altogether, because Pilate was involved totally in the world of the senses. And he saw Jesus as a potential threat. This man could threaten me. That's how Pilate saw it. And I need to find out. Is he threatening me? Is he threatening my position? Is he threatening my power? And if he is, I'll get rid of him. But what Pilate concluded was, this guy's basically a lunatic. I don't see anything criminally offensive in him. And so he let him go. But that wasn't the end of the story, of course. But that exchange is the exchange that you and I have all the time. There is this Pilate self, all the information that comes in from the senses. I must be tense because I left something at home. My peace is being taken from me, and it can only be resolved when I solve this problem. And that's such a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not saying that I'm going to overcome that by tomorrow. It'll happen again. It happened today, so I've got a long way to go. Well, no, I don't. Because I recognized the difference. And that's the first step. And it really doesn't matter how upset you get. It doesn't change the reality of your peace. It just changes your experience. It doesn't put you back 3 steps, in other words, in terms of soul growth. Your soul's already grown. It's already done. It's not going to get any better than it is right now. But your experience can. And that's what we're after. So you think of Jesus as a window who's saying he's here to let in sunlight, to bear witness not to himself as a window, but to the truth of the sun. So think of yourself in the same way. You're involved in a situation where you're apprehensive, you are uptight about something because that it's not resolved. Think of yourself as a window. You're either open or you're shut. If you open yourself, if you open the blinds, if you let the sun light in, that's your actual mission, to be here to let in the sun, then the sun that you seek, because you're saying, well, this thing's not resolved, so I have to keep the blinds closed until it is. That's how we think. But if you say, that's not my purpose, I'm a window here to let light shine through. So I can actually open myself to that light right here in this situation. The situation won't necessarily go away, but the way I experience it will change entirely. So again, why let our peace be sporadic? Because peace itself is not. Why should I experience it some moments and other moments somebody or something has the power to take it away? And that's one of the beauties of the challenges in life. I think in terms of my ministry, my experience in ministry, the times I have learned most about myself are those times when something exploded. When the norm was no longer there, no longer to be counted on. Because that makes you get back to the goal of your goal. What is the whole point of ministry? What do I have to teach if I'm frantic? What do I have to demonstrate? What do I have to show you if I myself am crazy? If I'm fearful? If I'm uncertain about my future? How can I help you? How can I conduct ministry, in other words? Ministry is not about me convincing you of anything. It's about me knowing what is true. It's about me being a window. Because when I let the light of truth shine through me, I know you experience it. It touches you in some way. But my goal is not to change your life. It's not to change your world. That's your goal. I might say something that helps you open your blinds or open your window, but it's your window. You can come to church and you can open it for an hour and then go home and close it. That doesn't do any of us any good. That's not the goal. The goal is to be the window that lets the light in. Not just in church, but out those hard times in life, those experiences we don't understand. You and I are designed to bring the light of our soul into everything we do. Just think about that. Everything we do, everything. Not just those things that we set as goals or those things we consider important, but everything. If peace is always available, if the peace of Spirit, if the peace of God is always available, why wouldn't we want to experience that always? Why would we have to make that conditional? Why would we get up in the morning and think the first thing, oh no, it's another day. I have to have my coffee and then I'll have peace. Get my shower, get feeling human again. I resolve that issue by getting up at 3 and 3:30 in the morning. It's a whole different world. And I don't recommend that necessarily. It's just something that I have started doing over the last couple of years. Not every single day, of course. But I find that I can live like 2 days within one if I do that. We don't need to sleep as much as we do, I have discovered. Our desire for greater freedom is the warmth of the spiritual sun shining from our innermost depths. Our desire for greater freedom, just think about that, because your desire for greater freedom has not once, for 1 second, left you. It's like the window may be closed, but you feel the warmth of the sun, always. That's that desire for greater freedom, that desire for peace. And that is the goal of all the goals we're trying to achieve out here. The fulfillment of that goal is to be still and know, to open the window and open ourselves to that peace and realize I can't ever be separated from that which I dearly long for. That peace that passes all understanding. It passes understanding because it doesn't fit the expectations of the census-based self-image. It doesn't fit the pilots of the world. Their interpretation of peace. In Pilate's world, peace would mean to go out and destroy your enemy, people that are threatening you, countries. And then you can have peace. And of course, the world has thought that since the world began, and the world has never, never, ever achieved it. And I don't think we ever will. But you have these strange characters show up once in a while, like Jesus says peace has nothing to do with all that. Peace is a deeper reality. You won't find it in a peace movement. In fact, what I have found in peace movements is the individuals involved are about as angry as anyone you'll ever meet. They're angry because there's no peace. And anger doesn't bring peace. Individuals who are angry do not bring peace. They just bring more chaos. And so whether you're one person or 10,000 people and you get together and you march for peace, you're really marching for anger. We feel this warmth and we are inspired to find new ways to express it. All our endeavors become the means to the end of bringing forth the light. So don't think of expressing this in some big way. Think of it as, I left my camera at home, so I'll go get it. Practice peace during that moment. It doesn't have to be in some big elaborate goal that we've set for ourselves. It's in the small stuff, because most of life is small stuff. When we think of the dailiness, that's what one woman said, the problem with life is it's so daily. It just kind of happens every day, moment by moment. And we're kind of waiting for some big thing to happen to change the quality of experience we're having. So our window can actually be as complex as a career. We can think of it in a big kind of way, a larger way. Developing a relationship, soulmate or whatever. Or it can be as simple as a kind word or gesture. That is, maybe somebody does something, you're driving down the road, they pull out in front of you and you have this reaction. Your peace is gone because they took it from you. You can, even in that moment, stop and say, well, maybe they're headed to the hospital. Maybe they're having heart issues suddenly flared up that I can't see and don't have any idea. Or maybe they're just a moron, that's possible too. But so what? Sometimes you're a moron. I'm a moron. Have you ever been a moron and admitted it? We never want to admit it. But you and I have been that person that pulled out in front of somebody else, right? Confession time. It makes you feel better if you do that. It doesn't mean you're a moron. You might be acting like one in that particular moment. Or you may fly off the handle with somebody and later regret that totally. But you're still not a moron. But what you'll do probably is regret that thing, and you'll say, if I just hadn't done that, I'd be peaceful. So it's still conditional. But you're still a human, and you will still do stuff like that. You can resolve today, I will never do a dumb thing again the rest of my life. Never. I'll never do it. Resolve today, I'm going to write it down, I'm going to put it in my goal box, and I'm never going to do a dumb thing again. I bet in 5 minutes you'd do the dumbest thing you've ever done in your whole life. This would top all dumb things you've done, and there have been plenty of dumb things that you've done. You just can't change your behavior. You can't change it in a way where you're then going to be peaceful forever. It just doesn't work that way. We go in and out, not of something that's changing, we're changing. The reality is peace. The reality is that we live in this deeper reality that is peace. And the issue is, am I in it or am I out of it? So the goal of my goal, no matter what, is to get into it and then do the thing I'm doing, whatever that is. As I said, you don't cancel all your goals and cancel your life because you want to sit around and be peaceful. You take your peace with you. That's the point. Because you don't achieve peace through achievement. You don't achieve peace through acquisition. You achieve momentary peace, possibly, achieve momentary happiness. But when we understand that, when we get that idea that our purpose on this planet is to bear witness to the truth is peace is the one reality. And we're either expressing it, experiencing it, or we're not. Can we experience it when we're not? And the answer is yes, we can. And we can practice on little things and prove it to ourselves. So this is a good affirmation, and it's on your program, so you don't have to memorize it. I enter this day with the single purpose of bearing witness to the truth of my soul. In all that I do, I let the light of God shine through. It's just a good attitude to have, a good way to think of yourself. For this I was born, and for this I come into the world, to bear witness to the truth of who and what I am as an expression of God. It's not as difficult as it might sound. It's just a matter of when you are uptight about something, do you have a choice? And can you make a choice to move out of that state of mind? And the answer, yes, you can. Will you? Only you can answer that. All right? You're not a moron. Thanks for coming out.